Hello aspirants, welcome to GSCO Daily Current Affairs through MCQs. I am Ashutosh and let's see the 5 topics of the day over which we'll see the current affairs through MCQs. So basically the topics which you have taken today for are the right to safe environment, because in the Supreme Court very recently there was a news that the Supreme Court has expanded the scope of Article 14 and Article 21 was self-extended to include the right against the adverse effect of climate change. So that's why this right to safe environment was in news, and that's why we have taken it from the polity point of view. Second is the National Food Security Act, NFSA Act 2013. Basically, there was a news in which it has been observed that the exporters are complaining about the selective release of the export of onion to some countries like UAE, Bangladesh and Indonesia. Now, why this opposition? Because India has banned in the year 2023, the last year, it has banned the export of onion. Okay. However, it has been alleged, it had been alleged that the ban which has been extended was significantly diluted for the countries like UAE, Bangladesh and Indonesia based on the diplomatic negotiations. Okay, and they had miffed that some shipments allowed by the government to markets like UAE have been sold at a lower price even as the global prices have soared, and thus yielding windfall profits for the selected importers. So that's why the ban which was extended in 2023 but released or diluted selectively for some countries. So that's why an issue has been cropped up there, and we have taken the issue based on the FERI, that is the Food Security Act. Okay, we'll talk about it later in the question itself. Third is the superconductivity. This was in news because on the same date, 8th April, on the 8th April 1911, there was a discovery of superconductivity. Okay, so there was a discovery of superconductivity by Professor Heikki Kamerling Ons, and he discovered the superconductivity along with his collaborators Cornelis Dorsman, Jan Film, Wills Holst, etc. And they observed that the resistance of mercury approached practically zero as its temperature was lowered to 3 kelvins. So today superconductivity is extensively used in the MRIs, etc., and the super fast trains in the countries like Japan, China and the Southeast Asian countries. So that's why superconductivity, which has an anniversary today from the date of its 8th April 1911, and in 1913 the same person was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for this discovery. So basically superconductivity is the where the resistance of a metal, okay, the resistance of a metal, it's a phenomena, okay, the material that can conduct electricity or transport electrons from one atom to the other with zero resistance, where the resistance of the material is zero, okay, when it is cooled below a critical temperature. So that is the superconductivity. You all must be knowing this fact. Next topic, we have the Central Asian Flyway. This was in news because in a recent discovery, it has been found that the Bombay Natural History Society has flagged that it is closely working with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change on Central Asian Flyway, and the ornithologically important wetlands in India are being threatened by the increase in human population, socio-economic activities, human-induced adverse natural phenomena, thus putting the risk of the water birds. Okay, so basically that's why we have the Central Asian Flyway, because these routes, we have having 3 routes of flyways or migratory birds, and the wetlands, the route of these migratory birds are being hampered by the human-induced environmental changes. So that's why it was in news. It was highlighted by the Bombay Natural History Society that it is observing along with the MOEFCC, that is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The last news, Gaza Strip, because some 8 workers were killed by a strike in the Gaza Strip. So that's why this was in news. We'll see the current affairs based on the theme. So let's start with the topic number 1. We have, consider the following statement. It's a question based on the statement 1 and 2 wise, and we have to see that whether the statement 1 or 2 are both correct, or they are the second statement is the proper reasoning for statement 1. Okay, so the first statement says, to safeguard the environment, development can be compromised. No, it is not. It shall not be true, because no development shall compromise with the environmental sustainability. So development cannot be compromised with regard to environment, and environment cannot be compromised with regard to development, but however the development shall be more sustainable development. Okay, तो UN का goal भी है, ठीक है, to safeguard environment, development cannot be compromised, it shall be made more sustainable in nature. Statement 2 says that right against the adverse effect of climate change is considered a fundamental right under Article 21 and Article 14. Well, if we see the statement number 2 with regard to statement number 1, by going by the effect of Article 21 right to life and Article 14 right to equality, we might say that a development and environment both go hand in hand and shall be sustainable also. Okay. So in that point, though we have the right to life by having the good environment at our disposal, we shall have the right, we have the right to enjoy the good environment, and we have the right to equality also by Article 14, that if we are poor, so we shall not be the sufferer because of the environmental disabilities which have been put up by the climate change, etc. So that's why Article 14 is also covered by the climate change, the right to equality, that we have equal right to good environment. And basically Article 21 right to life says that for a proper living, for living conditions, for the proper enjoyment of life, we shall have the good environment. So basically 2 is correct here, but 1 is incorrect. Why? Because we can have only the sustainable development rather than the development shall be compromised with regard to environmental safeguards. I think the concept is clear to you, and with regard to that, Article 21 and Article 14, the widest scope is being achieved with regard to the directions of the Supreme Court. Okay, and basically with regard to the statement number 1, a Supreme Court bench had ordered restrictions on the setting up of overhead transmission line in an area covering about 99,000 square kilometers, and thus had mooted the conversion of overhead low and high voltage line into underground power line. So that's why this statement says has drawn from that Supreme Court judgment. Okay, and with regard to statement 2, it has from time to time expanded the scope, and Article 21 recognized right to life and personal liberty. Article 14 that all persons shall have the equality before the law and equal protection of law, right to equality. Okay, so that is the main thing. And also you have to understand that we have other articles, Article 48A, that deals with that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard, and Article 51A under the our duties, fundamental duties of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lake, rivers, wildlife, etc. Okay, so I hope the statement and the explanation are clear to you. Next question we have. With regard to the National Food Security Act 2013, consider the following statements. So first number statement says that identification of the beneficiaries under the NFSA is done by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India. It is incorrect. Why? The identification of the distribution is being conducted by the respective state and UTs, which is required to frame its criteria for the identification rather than the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Okay. Statement 2 says that prices of food grains made available under NFSA should be less than the minimum support price. Yes, it is true statement. Basically what happened in the year 2013 when it has been framed, it was supposed to be a price in the range of ₹3, ₹2, ₹1 for the wheat, rice and the coarse grain for the 3 years from the date of the commencement till 2016. However, after that it was required that the central government from time to time has to fix the prices of these food grains but not exceeding the MSP. So the government has decided from time to time to continue the above mentioned subsidized prices कि यही price आपके continue रहेंगे. The government has decided that under the law, which said that from 3 years the prices of 3 to 1 rupees respectively for wheat, rice and some coarse grain will continue. Rice, wheat and coarse grain will continue in the range of 3 to 1. And however, after 3 years, the government has decided from time to time to continue with the above mentioned subsidized prices. So 2 statement is correct also, but it shall not exceed the should be less than the minimum support price, not exceeding the MSP. Okay, so also you have the task for you to read about the MSP, who fixes MSP, what are the criteria for fixing the MSPs, very important from prelims point of view and also mains. If the entitled, statement number 3, if the entitled food quantities are not supplied, the entitled person receive a food security allowance from respective state government. Yes, very true. It is a right based approach. Okay, it has been made into a right based approach, right to food. Okay, Food Security Act, right based approach. And under this right based approach, okay, so the if the it has a provisions for providing a food security allowance to entitled individuals if they not receive their entitled food quantities from the PDS. Okay, that is the public distribution system, which distribute the given foods, rice, wheat, and coarse grain. In the case of non-supply of food grains, the household will receive a food grain security allowance from the concerned state government, and who will provide it? Concerned is state government, to be paid to each person who are entitled, and within such time and manner, as may be prescribed by the central government. So two things are very important. So time and manner will have to be prescribed by the central government, but it has to be provided by the state government. Okay, that is the right based approach. So that's why only 2 and 3 are correct here. We have to see the how many above are correct. So answer will be only 2. Okay, I hope the concept is clear to you, and basically why it was in news, why it has been framed through a question, because we have seen that the despite an export ban and the exports being done to the selective countries with regard to the onion export, the prices, okay, the prices which have been sold, the onion which have been sold to the we have been exported to the countries like UAE are a bit lower than the global prices, and as the global prices have soared, thus yielding a lower profit for the selected importers. So that's why it has been in news. Based on that, we have framed this MCQ. Okay, so only 2 here. Answer will be. Next question we have. Question number 3. Superconductivity. Superconductivity 1911 date याद रखिएगा, and 1913 when the Nobel Prize was granted to him. Okay, so Professor Cameling Ons and along with his coordinators, collaborators, Cornelis Dorsman, Gritjan Flim, and Gilles Host, they have discovered the superconductivity. So basically, what is superconductivity? Superconductivity means that a material that can conduct electricity or transport a material that can conduct electricity or transport electrons from one atom to the other without any resistance, that is the zero resistance or near zero resistance. Okay, and it is a state, we can also call a state where a material offers zero resistance, which can be achieved by keeping it at zero level at a liquid nearby absolute, okay, below critical temperature. So it is being cooled, so it will give you a superconductivity. I hope the point is clear to you. Basically, superconductivity, all materials have the superconductivity, and for example, the questions are being asked in PYQ also, that the good conductor of electricity and the bad conductor, also known as the insulators. So basically, gold, copper, and silver will be the always the good conductor of electricity, and mercury is the only metal which is at liquid at room temperature, and it offers the superconductivity also. Okay, so let's see the statement we have. I hope the concept of superconductivity is clear to you. So it is a phenomenon observed in certain materials where they exhibit zero electrical resistance when cooled below a critical temperature, and it can range from the near absolute zero to minus 273.15 degrees Celsius to much higher temperatures, depending on the type of the superconductor. So it will depend on the type of superconductor which are we using, and based on that we can have that cooling effect. So A statement says that superconductivity is a phenomena that occurs in both solid and liquids. Yes, it is not only limited to liquids or solid only. It can occur in both states, solid state and liquid state, liquid solid material and liquid materials also. B says there is no resistance at all in superconductivity materials. Yes, it is also correct. There is no resistance at all, which has been explained here. Okay. C says magnetic leviation is a superconductivity conducting phenomena. Yes, it is true. Magnetic leviation, also known, we are called themselves as time maglev. Okay, so maglev is basically when a magnetic suspension in which an object is suspended without any support, and they work in the time, and if without any support, it means that magnetic force is used to, okay, counteract the effect of gravitational acceleration. Okay, so in that magnetic, in which in the magnet are the superconductivity, have the magnet which are superconducting magnets, and these are being called as maglev. So basically, magnetic suspension in which the object is suspended without any support from the lower end and have magnetic force, and where the magnetic force is used to counteract the effect of gravitational acceleration, and the magnet which is used is superconducting material. Okay, it is being used in trains, etc., and that's why we have the C as also correct here. The D number statement says that superconductivity occurs only at extremely high temperatures. Conceptually wrong, not at high but the lower temperatures, not at high, because superconductivity typically occurs at very low temperatures, although there are some materials known as high temperature superconductors that exhibit superconductivity at relatively higher temperatures compared to the conventional superconductors, but this is not true entirely if we use the word only here. Okay, I hope the concepts are clear to you. Okay. The unique property of superconductors has numerous practical applications. Okay, we can use the superconducting materials in MRI, that is the magnetic resonance machines, which are used to scan the brain and other body parts. Okay, magnetic resonance imaging machines, MRI, then the practical accelerators, power transfer lines, sensitive scientific instruments. These all can have the application of superconductivity. Okay, the material which exists zero resistance. Let's see the next one. So not one answer, D is the correct one here. Next one, regarding the central inertial flyway. So I have explained you the why in news. So let's see the options we have with regard to statement. The Central Asian Flyway span across 30 countries. Yes, correct. The Central Asian Flyway encompasses migratory routes in the steppes and the cold deserts of Central Eurasia. Correct statement. Third statement says that India's initiative under the Convention on Migratory Species includes species traveling in the Central Asian Flyway. All these three statements are correct in themselves. So basically, what is Central Asian Flyway? ठीक है, होता क्या है कि there is a migratory bird, concept of migratory bird. Migratory bird means that which migrates to a certain regions in certain seasons, season wise, depending on their breeding patterns, at times non breeding pattern also, जब उनका ब्रीडिंग पैटर्न होगा तब, और या when they have been or at times they fly from the one region to another region. Okay, and that's why the route through which they fly is known as their flyway, and the route which they take is known as the flyway. And flyway is basically a geographical region. Okay, it is basically a geographical region within which a single, there might be a single or a group of birds complete their cycle. ठीक है, उनका cycle of the breeding and non-breeding, in which they complete their cycle, like breeding, molting means जब उनका पंख नया निकलता है उस टाइम उसको molting कहते हैं. Non-breeding, so migratory birds have 7 flyway, but in fact the flyways under which India also comes have 3 major flyway. So जिसमें India का भी part होता है, which they cross India, are the 3 major flyway. First is the CAF, Central Asian Flyway. Then we have the East Asian. Okay, then we have the East Asian, Australasian Flyway, and the last one is the Asian and East African Flyway. These all visits the India. So point to remember, these all 3 flyways are the region in which India is also covered. And basically the flyways which we are talking about, the CMS, why 30 countries? Because from Arctic, it covers from the Arctic to the Indian Ocean. ठीक है, वो पूरा पार्ट ये कवर करते हैं आपके Arctic to the Indian Ocean. ठीक है, and it covers the area of Eurasia between Indian Arctic Ocean and Indian Ocean, and it extends from the Russia का जो far east वाला part है, the far eastern part of Russia to the southernmost in west and the South Asia wala part. In fact, the areas of Maldives and of course the Indian Ocean will be covered by this migratory route, the Central Asian Flyway. So basically the concept is that they are the migratory birds. They complete their cycle by migrating from one place to another region. So basically they are the geographical region within which a single or a group of birds, they complete their cycle of breeding, non-breeding, molting, etc. Okay. I hope the concept is clear to you that what is the migratory route, the Central Asian Flyway. It is one of the major migratory routes, bird routes, and it facilitates the annual migration of numerous bird species between their breeding and non-breeding grounds. The reason covered by CF is very important. They are the ecological diversity, and that they might comprise the cold deserts, at times the steppes, at times the cold deserts, the Central Eurasia wetlands, okay, the seasonal rivers. These will be the diverse ecological zones under which the under which the birds migrate. Okay, and for the protection of the migratory bird species route, we have the convention known as the CMS, Convention on Migratory Species. Okay, we have the convention known as the Convention of Migratory Species, okay, also known as the CMS, Convention on Migratory Species, or Bonn Convention, and it is under the United Nations Environment Program. It is a binding treaty. Okay, and India, in fact, initiative under the CMS highlights its commitment to conserving the migratory species and their habitats. They have listed the species in the CMS appendices and thus established the coordinating unit, and with which India aims to enhance the international cooperation and coordination for the conservation of migratory species along the Central Asian Flyway. Okay, so basically these were the concept involved here and the various facts we have discussed with regard to the protection, the routes spanning 30 countries, of course from Arctic to Indian Ocean. उसमें 30 country आ जाएंगे आपके. The tasks for you, go to the map and see the routes of the all 7 routes of the migratory species and the 3 routes we have discussed here. So all 3 will be the answer here. All 3 are correct. Last question for us. Basically, it was a news due to the it was a news due to the 7 aid workers who have died. They belong to the NGO World Central Kitchen, and they have died in an Israeli airstrike while they were traveling in Gaza in attempt to feed the starved resident of the war-ravaged area. Okay, so it is a war zone now. You all must be knowing the fact. So let's see the statement here. One says that Gaza Strip is a sovereign state. Conceptually wrong, not a sovereign state, but basically it is a Palestinian territory on the eastern coast of Mediterranean Sea. Okay, it is a Gaza Strip is a narrow coastal enclave. It is a kind of enclave not having a sovereign state criteria. It is an enclave with a predominantly Palestinian population. यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा है. ठीक है. It has been the major center of conflict between the Israel and Palestinian militant groups. ठीक है. And Israel, in fact, Israel is a country. Okay, Israel is a country located in the Middle East with diverse population comprising Jews, Arab and other ethnic groups. ये आपको confuse नहीं होना है इसके अंदर. One is of course incorrect. It is not a sovereign state. Well, let's see the location here. The west coast of the Mediterranean Sea, bordered by Egypt to the north and east and Israel to the southwest. Also not correct. Okay, Mediterranean Sea के west में नहीं, east coast में आता है ये basically. ठीक है. So Gaza Strip is a narrow coastal enclave situated on the, suppose ये आपका Gaza Strip है, it is the region of Mediterranean. इसके east में आपका Gaza Strip है on the eastern coast of Mediterranean Sea, and it is bordered to the north में, ठीक है, east of the Gaza Strip and the west of the Gaza Strip by Israel. ठीक है. It is a densely populated territory with a predominantly Palestine population, and it is a major center of conflict. And Israel is a country located in the Middle East. Location is important. कहाँ पे located? In the Middle East with a diverse population. It has a complex geographical phenomena. Okay, and it has been involved in the conflict, which is being ranging from 1948 onward. The story goes back 1917 में, but the conflict started in 1948. ठीक है? And in fact, the location of Israel, it also shares with the border with multiple countries like Egypt. Israel share border with the Egypt. If you look at the map, you will get the point. Egypt to the south. In the south, we have the Egypt. Then the Jordan to the east. In the east of the Israel, we have the Jordan. Okay, so it's share border with the Egypt, Jordan. Okay, and the one important thing you have to remember that the northern border is the northern border of Israel is being shared by the Lebanon, and Syria is in the northeast, so that's why it doesn't share a border with Syria. तो सीरिया के साथ इजराइल का बॉर्डर शेयर नहीं होता. दिस माइट कम टू कंफ्यूज यू. इट ओनली शेयर द बॉर्डर विथ इजिप्ट इन द Egypt to the south and the Jordan to the eastern part. Egypt यहाँ पे आ जाएगा south में, and Jordan to the east of the Israel, and Lebanon to the Lebanon share the northern border with Israel. However, the Syria is northeast. Okay, doesn't have a direct border with the Syria. Okay, I hope the concepts are clear to you. So incorrect, only one is incorrect. Why? Because Hamas seeks to establish the Islamic State in all of the historical Palestine from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, and to liberate the Palestinian territories from Israeli occupation. Political thing, but very important. Why? Because they want to establish the Islamic State, and thus they are in direct conflict with the Israel. So I hope the things were clear to you, concepts and theme you have got, and let's see you again. Thank you very much. Take care.